And welcome into the program. This is Cosmic Koolaid. I am your host, Corey Short. This is episode 9, and with me I have local country phenom, Mr. Ryan Perry. Ryan, welcome to the show, sir.
Man, thanks for having me. I've been seeing these. I'm super excited to be here. Been
Dude,
excited all week.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of stuff together over the years, and you are seemingly on your way to country music success, and I'm glad to be a small part of that journey, and certainly glad to have you here to tell our audience all about it. Let's start with this coming up show, which is at the time that you all see this, your show will be tomorrow night, Friday, February 24th at the Social.
Yes.
And this is your single release party.
Yeah. Super excited to, I always say, I feel like I live out of town because, I'm always like, man, I'm so glad to come back home and play, but it's true because, we do play regionally, all over the place, and I'm in Nashville, fortunately, quite often, songwriting and stuff like that. So with it being so many months, it's been over a year since I've been at the Social, and then to really kick off 2023 and come in with a new sound, that's probably more of what I'm excited about than anything, is being with a new group of writers and a new producer that has developed a great new current sound that I've been searching for a long time, and just presenting that to the people in a place where I got started.
Well, and the beauty of that is you haven't cornered yourself into any set sound. You really can go, Florida Georgia Line will never be able to pull off certain things.
Right.
You have the advantage of being able to really go any direction with your country sound.
Yeah, I'm fortunate for that. Still, I think I've definitely found a niche here as far as what sound I want to go for. I've kind of dabbled in a little bit of everything. I know I definitely don't want to go more of a pop kind of sound, versus even though I love Dan and Shay, Dustin Lynch, that kind of stuff, that just the real sound is just more or less that, just the real edge kind of grit sound that this really moves me in a sense. Musically it inspires me, excites me, and that's how I know that the groove and with the producer that can develop the sound that we want now, I just really know that this is where we're going to grow. And that's what I've been searching for a long time. I love putting out music. I love writing songs. And, there's a lot of time, where you just kind of man, I really love this recording, but I just don't know if I'm quite there yet. There's still something there I got to add. And I think, this girl's definitely got all the ingredients as far as what
when you say this girl, you mean the producer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, producer. Yeah, she is. She's awesome. Very smart. Very witty. Just very excited to be working. She said I'm one of the more edgier artists that she's had the opportunity to work with, and she just loves the new upfront drum sound. We all have been talking about Hardy for a long time. There's a few other artists out there, all the Hicks tape stuff, and I know that's mostly Hardy, but there's a whole lot of artists that's in that, kind of hodgepodge of an album, and just that sound. I just get excited about seeing that type of music come out and listening to it, jamming to it, covering it, whatever. So I know that now that I've found this group with this new sound, I'm really excited to kind of come back and present which way we're actually going. But with that aside, I still want to offer sort of a buffet of all different things. So we've got a lot of things planned this year that, it's really going to be different than any other year that I've been doing music. So.
And it's cool how the internet is really opened up the door for you to do that. Mm-hmm. You really can be whatever you want to be.
Right. And really that's just one thing that I've learned is just put it out there and see how they respond. And if you're seeing more of a response on, something more edgy versus something more pop, then you know what the fans are wanting from you. And it's just, you really got to use this growth period that we're in to kind of figure out what people are wanting. And then if you continue to capitalize on what people want, then you'll notice that your following is, consistently growing, gaining new fans. And one thing that I've always loved hearing is man, I cannot stand country music, but we had a great time at your show and love your music. And that's
that does feel good.
That's the biggest thing. It's just man, somebody that doesn't even interested in country music likes my style of country music, you know, and that's, I mean, as an artist and a creator, that's really all you can ask for is to, you know, interest people and bring
Make them
joy.
feel something.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And you do that, man. So again, that's tomorrow night, February 24th at the Social.
Yes.
There's a $20 cover to get in. That gets you in. Get there early to get a good seat. It is limited seating. And we're excited to have you back at the Social for sure. And I know a lot of your local fans are too. And but first of all, congratulations on that.
Thank
I mean, you had to step away for a while to experience that growth. And we're all proud of you, man.
Thank you,
and
man.
super happy to have you back at the Social tomorrow. And I will count each stop there as a blessing on your rise to the top. So we're rooting for you, bro. Plain and simple. Talk to me about this new who's this skinny fucker sitting in front of me? Like, how did that happen?
Man, I still get asked like, man, it's, you know, how did you do it? How did you do it? And for the first month or so, I mean, because it was really fast. I mean, it was a lot faster than even the doctors expected. I was in a very small percentile as far as how fast that I had lost, but it wasn't due to me just like, you know, nailing their program, you know, that I was just like an overachiever. I had a lot of setbacks that made me lose so fast. But how it all started was I was at a current weight of 395 pounds. I'd been to the doctor numerous times for like back pain that had started just from like walking, you know, because, you know, anybody who knows me knows I love to trout fish. So walking a long distance in the river, I had this, I think they called it like bonderosis, and it's where the cartilage between, you know, in your back somewhere, whether it be the spinal cord or wherever, kind of just goes away, and it's, you know, starts to pinch nerves and stuff. So,
Right.
And that was just from so much front weight, you know, carrying, you know, like a backwards backpack and just that constant tension. But anyway, like I was on 3 different kinds of anxiety medicines. I had a blood pressure medicine. I had just had a sleep study done to have a CPAP. I was on, my legs were swelling, which told her that there was strain on my heart. And I was just 30 years old. So the doctor told me, she said, what is your problem with, like, obviously, you know, you need to lose weight. We need to get you healthy. What can we do? Because she said, at 30 years old, you're on a road that doesn't, and you're going through a tunnel that doesn't have much light at the end of it. And she said, by the time you're 40, we're really going to be struggling if you don't get on to something. So at 395 pounds, at 30 years old, I told her, I said, look, you know, it's not that I don't want to. I really try, but I just really have zero willpower. Like, you know, I really struggle with that when I try to diet and then I get really hungry, as most everybody does. You know, it's just like I just lose all care. Like, just give me the buffet, I want it. And you know, so she was like, well, let's just do something more permanent where it makes it a lot harder to relapse. And she said a good procedure for someone your age, and it's not very physically hard on you, is the gastric sleeve. She said it's not a simple surgery, but it is fairly more simple than a gastric bypass. And then she's like, you won't relapse as easy on it as you would the band that can be taken off at any time. So with that, I agreed, and my insurance that I had at the time, luckily, was like, hey, we only need 3 months. Like, usually it's like a year of approval processes. And she said they can get you in 3 months as long as you create and land and do all these doctor's appointments on time. And, you know, I mean, and there was a lot to it. I mean, I had over 17 doctor's appointments in 1 month. And that's
they make you lose so much weight before they'll commit to it, right?
Sometimes. I mean, I think it depends on your age and the most extreme weights. Like, I mean, if I was 500-600 pounds and pushing 50, I think they're more, you know, but they really didn't push for me to need to lose weight, because a lot of that is heart rate and stuff to be put to sleep for the surgery. So they didn't really harp on me too much about that. They just wanted to get me in quickly before things got worse. I did that. They had to do a psychiatric evaluation. They had to do all of these different trainings on how to take the vitamins correctly, how I should focus on eating. And you think it's like, why do I need a psychiatric evaluation for, you know, weight loss surgery? And they said that a lot of people will relapse themselves on purpose because, as we all know we love to sit down, and when we go and talk, or any time we meet, hey, you want to meet for lunch? Hey, what are we having for dinner tonight? When the family comes together, there's food involved, especially Southern living like us. Like there ain't nothing for a big old plate of fried chicken, biscuit, gravy, all that stuff, and that's just what we do.
5,000 calories in a hurry.
Soul food. That's what I'm saying, so that ain't nothing out of the ordinary for us down here, and develop this depression that they're missing a huge part of their life. And I was at the point where I was young enough and had missed out on enough already that there was no plate of food worth me missing out time, riding bicycles or hiking with my kids or whatever, being active in what now is football season for him, or coming up, and I really wanted to be there for that. So I already had a mindset that they knew would be okay. Like, I'm just like, I don't care if I ever eat again. Like, I just want to be here for something. I'll sit at the table and watch them eat even if I have to. But, so I got that done. And then the biggest thing as far as like preparation for the surgery was I had to be on an 18-day liquid diet. Now, when I tell you that's one of the hardest things I ever done in my life, on day 3, I literally looked at Lindsay and was almost in tears. I was like, I am so hungry and I'm so miserable. I feel so bad. I really just want something. And she's like, sorry, here's your soup, and it's just like anything drinkable, but I would still eat liquid with a spoon just to, pacify that habit of, putting something to your mouth. And I finally got to it. The next hardest day, after the 3rd day of the breakdown, it was kind of easy on cruise. I'd started digging to try to find some different things because I just done like potato soup and broth and tomato soup and, get over that real quick. But then the 11th day, it hit me again. I'm just like, I don't know if I can make it. Like, I'm just so hungry and so sick of this soup, I could just be sick. And, so we got to the surgery, but I had actually lost 25 pounds in those 2 weeks or whatever beforehand, before the surgery. And the only reason they make you do that is to shrink your liver, like to keep things out of the way while they're in there working. That's, as far as what I took away from it, that was the only real reason for that. But different programs do it differently. I don't know. So, but that was what I had to deal with. But then through that, the dramatic, quick change to my diet, I mean, it was like overnight. Like, it was just solid food, and it was right after Thanksgiving. So, like, I just pounded, and I was like, this is like my last supper. So, like, we're going to hit it hard. And then the next day, straight to liquid. So it was such a shock to my system. And then the weight loss, my gallbladder started to go out, but I had no doctor or myself had any idea that was happening. And then after the surgery, I had to wait 2 weeks, just eating liquid diet, for waiting for the staples to heal and all that stuff. And so I really didn't have any inclination of what was coming, other than when Lindsay would cook dinner, I would be like, why does that smell so bad? What are you cooking? Like, whatever you're cooking is out of date. Like, it's bad. And she's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And I was like, it stinks so bad in here. And then when I really got to the point where I could eat solid foods, it was just like, still only like ramen noodles. And
so that never had anything to do with COVID?
No, it was, yeah, it was. And that was the problem of the timing, was what everybody was deeming it. Like, cause I did have COVID, but I had it like the first 3 months after it was a thing. Like, when it exploded in that February, March 2020, I had it in July, like right after. And mine, fortunately, was not as severe as most other people's. Like, I had like 3 days of like a really bad head cold and then a week of fatigue. But I never had to go like to the doctor or other than just to be diagnosed. But I never had any like long-lasting breathing issues or anything like that. And I did lose my taste and smell. But it came back, after 2 or 3 weeks, it was fine, back to normal. But so this was around the same time all this was happening. So everybody's like, well, when you had COVID, generally what we are experiencing, he's like, obviously this is very new to us. We don't know everything about it. But one common thing that we've experienced is that, and this is coming from the ear, nose, and throat doctor that I went to, a specialist, and he said that the nerves in your olfactory system will singe off with the sickness. And he's like, and it's almost in a lighter sense like a stroke. And he's like, and I really don't have any good news for you because we simply just, one, we just don't know. Two, it could come back tomorrow. It could come back in a year. It could come back in 10 years, or it could never come back. And this wasn't, I didn't figure out exactly how severe it was until I tried to start eating stuff. And mainly, unfortunately, I could only hold 4 to 6 ounces of food. A lot of my diet was supposed to be protein-based, but most of the protein-based things that I tried to eat tasted like the bottom end of an old, week-old trash can. Like, I mean, it just, you know, and then the aftertaste was like licking the inside of a diesel pipe. Like, it had this weird, rotten sweetness. Like, I don't understand how even to explain it, but it was, I mean, it wasn't one of those things where like I could just get it down.
Did this ever give you cause for like panic, where you
well,
not only can you not fill up your belly the way you used to for comfort, you don't get the flavor either.
Right.
Like, that's a big part of being a human.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And especially like for somebody that, you know, they already had psych evaluation and everything on, that I was in a good mindset, but, and I could deal with the lack of food or better choices, but I was down to literally the only thing I could find was really clean breads, like white breads, and for the weirdest reason, it was like broiled fish, peel and eat shrimp that you just cooked in a pan, or crab legs that was just boiled in water. And that was really the only sense of protein, because the only main thing I would eat is literally like just a plain biscuit from McDonald's. And I know that's not clean bread, but I'm just saying like white breads and stuff. Like, I loved cornbread. I could do cornbread and milk. But one thing with the surgery is you're not supposed to eat solid and liquid at the same time. So I just kind of had to slowly navigate that. Couldn't eat a whole lot of dairy at the time because it would just make me feel nauseous. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely very, very scary dealing with that during that time, you know, just wondering like, man, am I going to have to deal? Like, is this the only thing I'm going to be able to eat? And I ate a lot of popsicles, sugar-free popsicles. That would kind of just be my dessert every night. Because I'm talking like, I was like, well, maybe it's just the meat, protein things. Like, we went out to a hibachi place, and I was like, I just want the vegetables. But then I started figuring out, like, if it was, like, if I ordered fried mushrooms or something, then if there was chicken or anything that had been fried in the same oil, it would, you know, ultimately contaminate the rest of everything that was in there. And even on the hibachi grill, if they had grilled chicken on there, steak or whatever, like, as soon as he set it down, I would just be like, no, take it. I can't. It's, you know, and like I said, it's not one of those things where I could just tough it out and choke it down. Like, it was literally like trying to eat 2-week-old trash out of the bottom. Like, you just can't get it down, and I would have to spit it out. And that went on for 9 months. And then shortly, you know, 3 months into this suffering, I started developing these terrible attacks, like stomach attacks, and I could not figure out what it was. I went to the ER at Pardee for at least 4 to 5 times, to where, you know, and then once again, we're dealing with COVID. They're shorthanded. They can't get to you fast enough. So I'm in the ER, like rolling on the floor, sitting in the chair, trying to get comfy. Finally, they would take me back. My heart rate would be so high because literally the best way I can explain it. And
Are you talking about like extreme nauseous or like pain?
Just pain. Like, and the best way I can describe, and anybody who's watching this that's had gallbladder attacks will completely agree, but without exaggerating, it was like as if somebody shoved a crowbar down my throat and was trying to turn it sideways in my chest. Like, that's how much pressure I felt right here. And I literally, the first time that it happened, I thought I had done something, like either drank something too fast that caused a gas bubble that popped my stomach. Like, I thought, because it would be a thing shortly after surgery if you're not careful. And I was like, man, I'm 3 months out. Like, I should be healed. I don't know what is going on, but I had to call an ambulance, like, because I was working on a job site, and it just hit me like, I mean, it was like a light switch. So that was the first time. And then it happened again, like the next month, and then the next month. And like I said, I went to the ER 4 times because it was so bad, but they did CAT scans or MRIs or whatever it is, just to look at internally. And they were just like, man, like, everything's there. Like, I don't know. There's no, like, you know, any kind of liquid or gas or anything in your system that we can tell. And then it would be like 8 or 9 hours later that I had been there, and I would already be over the attack. And they're like, well, whatever it is, hopefully it doesn't happen again, because we don't know what it is. And, you know, so I'm just trying to navigate that. And it wasn't until like 9 months later, I was playing a show, or about to play a show in Darlington. And we had the tour bus down there and stuff, and I laid close to 8-9 hours in the back of that bus curled up, and my guys kept checking on me. They did all the setup, everything, and I was like, it should be on its way out. Like it'll click. I'd taken Zegrid, all kinds of different stomach pains, gas relief, acid relief, everything you could think of, trying to get rid of it, just because this was like a ticketed show. Like, I mean, we're 30 minutes to stage time, and I had to call it. I was like, I literally, in most situations, can tough out stuff on stage. I said, but I can't even breathe enough to sing. I'm going to have to go to the ER, as much as I don't want to, because I had just given up and just started sleeping them off. Well, he took me to McLeod. My guitar player drove me to McLeod Health Center down there. It was actually in Florence. That's how close we were. And took me in, and this doctor, he come in, and I mean, he was really on his game. And he was like, man, the symptoms that you're giving me with like the firecrackers in your shoulders and the crowbar turning sideways and all that stuff, and he's like, man, it's textbook gallbladder attack. Like, he's like, it makes you kind of feel like you're having a heart attack. And he's like, it doesn't even, most of your pressure's on this side, right? Like your heart side. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, your gallbladder's over here. And he's like, that makes sense, because that's why most people miss it, because the pain usually isn't right here. It's over here because the gallbladder has affected this. He's like, so we're going to do some blood work, figure out how serious the situation is, and then we'll send you in for an ultrasound to look at your gallbladder. And he come back shortly. The nurse was great, taking good care of me and stuff, and give me some pain meds to calm down. My heart rate was really high. And he's like, Ryan, he's like, you have a huge white blood cell count, which tells me there's infection. He said your liver is inflamed and swollen, and so we really need to get this thing on the roll. Looks like something's going on bad. So they sent the ultrasound lady in, and it was 2 seconds. She put it on me, and she was like, oh my God, roll over here and look at this screen. And it just looked like TV, like white noise. And she said, every one of those white dots is a gallstone. And she said, you have over 200 BB-sized gallstones in your gallbladder. And she said, and there's 4 trapped in your bile tract right now. And she's like, so yeah, this looks bigger than what a normal gallbladder should be. So it's inflamed and swollen. She's like, it's almost double the size that it should be. And she's like, but what's causing you all this problem is these BBs or these gallstones are BB size, so they can slip into your bile tract and they get hung. And she said, and then the inflammation of your bile tract ends up either crushing them, and she's like, but you have to deal with that constriction for so long until they either bust or pass on through. And she said, and that's the relief that you feel is when they crack or move on through. And she said, but you have 4 backed up right now. That's why you're in such terrible pain. So whenever they seen the infection, and the doctor told me, he said, man, I'm so glad that you come in and seen us tonight, because from what we're looking at with your blood work, he said, had you went home and slept this one off, you would have been dead by the middle of the week, because you're about to go septic. And he's like, and once that goes, it's a whole nother procedure. And he's like, so we're going to surgery now. And I'm like right now, because I was like, I got a whole band full of buddies on the bus. Like, I'm 4.5 hours away from home. I haven't made a phone call yet, other than my family knows that I'm sick right now. But I was like, whoa, like right now? And he's like, well, have somebody get on the phone, because we're going back right now. And they actually had to do 2 surgeries, and I was in the hospital for, I think, 4 days. They had to do the removal, and then they had to do a bile tract clean out and clean my system out, because what the taste was, and this may be TMI, too gross, but it was backed up stomach bile that had went rotten at the base of my tongue, and it was affecting everything all the way up into my olfactory system. And it literally, and it's a funny story, as soon as I got out of the hospital, they told me, they said, you don't have a gallbladder no more, so take it easy on the fried foods, because or at least make sure you have a bathroom nearby. And I've just always been one of like, I'll be all right. So I was like, hey, Mom, pull in that Wendy's over there. I need some nuggets, So, like, we whipped in there, and I swear, like, when I tasted that salt and that fried chicken, that was like the best heaven in the world. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, it came back that quick.
That quick.
Oh,
as soon as they cleaned my system out. There was a few things that were still off, but today I'm like at least like 99.5% back to normal. The only thing that still will taste weird, and I don't know why at first bite, is popcorn. It just tastes like plastic. But then after the second bite, I get to the butter and all that stuff, it tastes a lot better. But I mean, it was that quick of just, I dealt with 9 months of suffering, so much muscle loss, so much malnourishment. And all it was just somebody not doing enough digging, and like I said, not blaming anyone or anything like that. It's just the whole fact of COVID and the whole fact of being shorthanded. Like there wasn't a serious issue for them to feel the need to dig deeper, especially every time that they were finally able to come in. Most of the time I felt better, so they really couldn't see like everything that was going on. And
So how do you feel today?
I feel good.
Any regrets from doing the
No.
surgery, the sleeve?
I hate the fact that what all I had to go through. But the type of person I am, it enabled me to lose the weight that I needed to lose quickly, without a whole lot of work, so it's just like, and I'm always down for that. But, a lot of people harp on the fact that, oh, it'd be good for your heart. It's good for your physical, your appearance, everything makes you feel better. But one thing that a lot of people sleep on with the surgery that I noticed more than anything is I lost 152 pounds before I plateaued. And at the first 70, 75 pounds, I was able to just stop taking blood pressure medicine. The CPAP was gone almost after the first 30 pounds. I couldn't sleep with that damn thing anyway. That shit in my nose, it just drove me crazy. Like,
Same here.
Because if it's in your nose, they're like, oh, this is perfect. It just wraps around your nose. You ain't even got to put nothing in your mouth. But as soon as you open your mouth, it like sucks your whole insides out, So it's like,
My problem was right at the point of falling asleep.
yeah.
Like I'd be cool, chilling, music in my ears,
Yeah.
thing on my face, eyes closed, and then right as I was about to doze off, it's like a sense of panic.
Yeah, right, yeah. So I got rid of that, thankfully. And then, like I said, the anxiety medicines were just like, I just didn't have the worry anymore. Like I just wasn't carrying the same weight. And what a lot of people don't really realize a whole lot is when you're under that much weight and your body is that stressed, it causes a lot of inflammation, in the mind. And that's what will change your whole, your mood and everything and cause you to worry. And it's really not anything that's wrong with your mind. It's just so overworked, from everything that it's trying to deal with. And then the pressure on your heart and stuff like that. So I think the biggest thing that would make me do it over again and over again and over again is one, yes, I feel great. I can go into any store and find something that I can put on that I like. But even if I didn't have any of that, just to take away all that stress I was under for anxiety and all the pills and the tiredness and stuff from feeling all of the side effects of those pills and stuff, that was the best thing. Now I'm still very let's see what I say all the time.
Take your time. Yeah.
Very active-minded, dang it, overstimulated. That's what I was looking for. Overstimulated person. And, and it hasn't gotten any worse because I haven't, not taken meds or anything like that, but it just allows me to think clearer. But I still just who I am, with, my obsession with work and music and all that stuff is,
what are the things that give you anxiety the most?
A lot of the time is it's just I'm always adding numbers. Finances are one thing, and it's like a newfound, not really like a stress, but it's definitely something that I always keep in mind all the time. And that was, thankfully and fortunately, I wouldn't trade it. I was able to go full-time music. But when I lost the consistent stability of a paycheck and knowing that I had to find it all the time if I wanted to get paid, not just, show up and have a shitty day at work and just half-ass the whole thing. I had to go out there, play a show, find a show, talk to people, move every single day. So I had a newfound respect for people out there running their own business and stuff. Because, I've been doing the band a long time, working all week in construction, hitting the ground running at 3 o'clock on Friday, taking off playing till 2 a.m. Saturday till 2 a.m., driving home most of the day Sunday, eating dinner, spending a few hours at home, and then 6 a.m. Monday back in the truck.
So how has the full-time music life affected you and Lindsay? Is she like stoked to have you around more? She's like, get the hell out of here. I need my
Yeah.
space.
Well, yeah, sometimes, it kind of goes both ways. Like, it is very fortunate because I can stay home and watch our daughter and, go get Lawson from school early if I need to. And just, I've really developed doing my own thing and planning when I wanted to or didn't want to do things. And there wasn't always a have to, but there is a have to have shows on the books and constantly watch that. But yeah, Lindsay is always up for me on vacation, like just like any married couple would be. But no, she's happy for me, and I'm happy for her. She owns her own business and cleans houses and stuff like that, and it's just work. I mean, and nothing.
You got a good woman, bro.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work, and we balance it out well. We have a very unique balance of certain things, but it's one of those things where when I leave to go play, I don't have to worry about nothing. And that means more to me than anything. And I hope she feels the same way.
And you had some good role models, too, of what that looks like. Your mom and dad are a special couple. And the love they show for each other publicly I've always been fond of that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, they just pretty much, they taught me everything that I know. But I will say that the actual day that I grew up was the news that Lawson was on the way. That was like, I don't know, it was like a light switch. It's just like, man, I got all this.
News like on the way, like in labor? Or
no. Like
that you were going to be a dad?
Yeah, you're going to be a dad. He's, I have this, bean, and here he is, kind of thing. And when I got the pregnancy test and all that stuff, it became a reality. And it was just, I think every dad goes through it. It's one of those things like nobody's really ever ready, and it's just kind of one of those things where, God is just like, you're ready, and it's just like, and I'm thankful for that because, I really had a lot to learn so quickly, but we adjusted well and survived and did what we had to do, and that's what we do. So
absolutely. Well, folks, we're going to take our first break. We got Mr. Ryan Perry, a country music phenom, on his way to the top in the booth with us. We're so glad you're here, brother. We got so much more to cover: fatherhood, career, aspirations. We're gonna play your most recent music video. We're gonna drop that new single, which just came out today. Let y'all hear it here, and then again, you can catch him tomorrow night, February 24th, which is Friday at the Social, for his first live full band appearance back there in over a year. So we're stoked to have him. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the program. This is Cosmic Koolaid, episode 9. I'm your host, Corey Short, and in the booth with me, Ryan Perry, country music rising star here in the mountains and moving his way on up. He's been over playing gigs and recording and making connections in Nashville, and he's making moves, and we're all proud of him. We came back from the first segment talking about your weight loss journey, and man, I think it's really cool that you shared that. There's a lot of guys that probably need to know that it's okay for guys to do that, talk about it. And
you should do it.
Absolutely. So kudos to you for being that, stepping out and showing us that it's been great for you, and it could be for us too. Yeah. Let's move on to career stuff. So currently, who is your representation these days?
My representation, management, booking is Brio Live Entertainment. They are based out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, down near Charlotte. One of the many blessings, but definitely a bigger portion of the blessings that I've ever encountered in my musical career. Completely, like earlier we were talking about me finally having the ability to go full-time music. Well, I owe most of that to them, and to my manager, Abby, and stuff. And they just have went above and beyond anything that I could ever expect in such a short time. I mean, I've only been with them for 1 year, so silently maybe a little longer before we officially sign the contracts and stuff like that. But yeah, they've just done, leaps and bounds for me, and I'm forever thankful for that. Yeah.
So, are you with a label right now? Are you independent at the moment?
No, I was with a Nashville record label for a short time, and really it's just one of those, like, I feel like in anything that anybody does, like, you always have to be every day open to learning new things, and really that's what that was, just like a learning process. I met a lot of great people. Had fun with a lot of awesome people, wrote some good songs, recorded some good songs. And, it's just one of those things where time goes on and, you just...
Yeah, onward and upward.
Yeah, keep moving,
So Brio serves as your manager and booking agent?
Yes.
Okay. So Brio is where anybody looking to book the Ryan Perry Band needs to go to get you... Okay. So... Do you feel a sense of relief being independent? Like, does that allow you to kind of carve your own path a little better, or what's the mentality there?
I will never deny the fact that I'm always a person that needs to be guided. Good,
Don't we all?
good and bad. And the work relationship that me and my manager have is something that I look for in most people is, brutally honest, and it can be in a joking sense. It can be the truth, but I always like to deal with people who are straightforward. I don't like people who beat around the bush and wish they could tell me something, but they don't. And, and that's one thing as a respectable work relationship we have is that we can express what we think should be done in the right way. And it's respected, discussed, and then we move forward together. They just really help me make decisions, to make the right moves. And then at the same time, have just represented me very well and helped me get into some things that I never would have had the opportunity to do without them, so.
That's awesome. So you are from Black Mountain, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. You went to Owen High School. You recently dropped a music video that shows your love for your hometown.
Yes.
Tell me about that experience. How was that, writing that song, making that video?
Yeah, I knew that, I always wanted to write some sort of, song about where I come from. And, it wasn't like I have one of these stories where I grew up extremely hard and come from, not necessarily nothing. I don't come from money. But my parents worked their ass off every single day for every single thing that we had. I was always given what I needed, but not what I wanted. So I wanted a ton of things. Did I always get them? No. But I mostly got, everything that I needed always, first and foremost. But, just my appreciation I've had... not really been in the public eye my whole life, but like with football and stuff, everybody in a small town, that's like the thing, like Friday Night Lights, got to go support the boys, the War Horses and stuff like that. And that's kind of what, I treasure most because it taught me how to, get knocked down, keep getting back up, make friends, deal with differences. There's a lot of life lessons that, you learn through that growth of high school and stuff. But running the roads and even being from like the Swannanoa side and, back and forth to Black Mountain, 70 every single day. Like I say at the shows, I wish I had $1 for every time I ran this highway, US 70. But I always wanted to do something to kind of show my appreciation because even from the earliest of days, people from my hometown have always encouraged me and believed in me in more ways than I ever have. Still, you know, and the way that some of them have told me that they view me just completely blows my mind sometimes. And, you know, and that's not to toot my own horn or anything like that. It just shows that how much they appreciate what I'm trying to do, you know, put Black Mountains Funnel on the map, you know, whatever.
Sure, and there's, you know, there's certain council members and things and organizations, Chamber of Commerce, that are really behind you.
Yeah.
And they kind of look at that song as an anthem of sorts.
Right, and that's what I really...
Brad Johnson.
Right.
Brad Johnson contacted you about it.
And I that's so cool because during the whole making of that video and stuff, like, I never thought that, you know, it was... You know, and not that I know he's always been full of hometown pride and warhorse pride. Even when I played football, he would come in and do like lectures and stuff, and words of encouragement in the locker room and in the weight room and all this stuff when he was in town. You know, so like I always knew he was full of pride, but I never thought for a second to reach out to him, you know, to be in the video, which I could have, you know, or anything like that. And but he did it on his own. Like, I mean, literally just, and it was completely organic months later. And that's why that's very special to me, is because he found it on his own through people sharing it and getting it out, and really just the hometown making it what it is. He found it on his own and then reached out to me. And that's just like a wholesome thing for me that, you know, he felt necessary to, you know, to reach out, gave me his phone number, and I could text him right now and he'd text right back. And we have plans to just actually meet up because he's like following Lawson with his football journey and stuff like that. And very encouraging. You know, he sent him like a big old thing full of like a signed cereal Wheaties box with him on the front and all these different football cards and stuff from both teams. And
that's
just
so cool.
just a really good thing, and like a little letter of encouragement, and shared his video on TikTok and this and the other. But really, I mean, back to the hometown thing, like I just wanted to give something to where, you know, people like connections where we play regionally that's not even from North Carolina, you know, people in Nashville, they can watch that video and get a sense of where we grew up and the beauty of the town where I come from, that really makes me what I am and who I am and who I'll always be, you know.
All right. Well, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and show our audience that music video real quick, if you're cool with it.
Yes, absolutely.
And the name of the song is
My Hometown.
My Hometown. Ryan Perry, My Hometown. Check it out.
Blue-collar boy, never got to stay right on track. For minimum wage, no chance of college because of my GPA. Raise a little hell on Friday nights with a fake IDs and 2 fists to fight, buying my time, but damn, I felt alive. I tried not listening to the devil on my shoulder, but when it's hot, that beer's a little colder. The shorts got shorter, the legs got longer. I couldn't help but fall right back to that neon moonlight late night party when the yell last call. We were just getting started. Someday maybe I'd settle down, but I was just living the dream in my hometown. Black Mountain, Fairview, 10 miles of stories between the two football rivals, the Churchview Bibles, heartbreaks, man, I had a few. Middle of nowhere to be found, doing 3 for Dale as you pass it around, trying to make sense of the next road I go down. I tried not listening to the devil on my shoulder, but when it's hot, that beer's a little colder. The shorts got shorter, the legs got longer. I couldn't help but fall right back to that neon moonlight listening to the devil on my shoulder. But when it's hot, that beer's a little colder. The shorts got shorter, the legs got longer. I couldn't help but fall right back to that neon moonlight late night party when they yelled last call. We were just getting started. Someday maybe I'd settle down, but I was just living the dream in my hometown. Yeah, my
And welcome back. You saw it here. That's My Hometown by Ryan Perry, a music video filmed right here in Black Mountain, North Carolina, in his hometown. And man, it's a special video and a special song, and it's cool to see the town adopting it the way they have. And Brad Johnson and all that. It's just cool stuff.
Yeah, it's like nearly 100,000 views or something.
Sweet.
Yeah, like 900 shares or something. I mean,
Awesome.
It's pretty crazy.
Awesome, man. So you've laid out for us some pretty tumultuous difficulties with your health and COVID and some things you've gone through on your journey to here. And one thing that we haven't touched on yet that's pretty critical to your story, and you know, when your legacy is left on this earth, this will certainly be a part of it. But tell me about the injury that Lawson, your son, sustained that year, and just walk me through that day. I know a lot of our audience has never had the chance to hear it from you. They've heard about it, but tell us about that day.
Obviously one of the worst days in history for myself. You know, Lawson experienced, it was a normal day. I'd actually just gotten home from a show, and it was time to mow the grass. And we, you know, like everybody sees, there's just as many people that tell you shouldn't do it as there is like, hell, I did it. Shit. I was on the back of a tractor with my dad from the time I could walk. You know, I could have easily bounced off or whatever. So Lawson, you know, me knowingly that he was getting a little too big to ride with me on a normal size lawnmower, did it anyway, you know, because we had done it millions of times before, probably would still be doing it. Probably would do it with Gentry, you know, if this hadn't happened. But unfortunately, he fell off. And then through the chaos of him falling, I just did what I could do with him losing his balance, coming off, to get him as far away as I could, you know, pointing the right direction. So I got him as far as I could, but while I was trying to do that, the lawnmower was still rolling, and you can imagine the millions of times I played it back in my head. If I would have just hit the clutch, I would have stopped, and that would have been it.
Sure. But
with throwing and just panic, you know, it nicked his foot. Well, more than nicked, but luckily that was at the time it was, I mean, you know, you always hear like people in development losing their big toe, they won't have balance right. You know, there's been people put on disability because they literally cannot form the same level of balance. So that immediately entered my mind when I saw how bad it was. And, you know, it was the craziest thing, like, you know, because I didn't realize it just happened so fast. I mean, he hit the ground, and then he just got up and ran. Like, I mean, faster than anybody you'd ever seen run. I mean, I was sprinting, trying to catch him, still not knowing exactly how bad. I thought maybe it just, like, crushed his foot or ran over his foot or something. I had no idea that he only had a portion of his foot, and he was running this fast. And, you know, and I mean, in a blur like that, I still can't figure out. I watched him run around the house and somehow, like, met him at the back door. Like, that part of that memory just blacks out. But I remember him coming out the back door, and I picked him up, and I seen what had actually happened, and what it was just like a pie piece. And he lost his big toe, the toe next to it, and half of his middle toe. And then,
So it's basically just that corner, that top right corner.
yeah, just like
Or left, depending on which foot.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So on his right foot. And, so just like literally from the middle of his middle toe diagonally out, so his foot now is shaped perfectly like a rectangle. It's just, and in the ER, or not the ER, but the EMS that showed up that day was really just trying to focus on calming me down, because I was just, as you can imagine, I just lost it, and, felt so bad, and was telling him how sorry I was. And luckily, and thank God, this has been in the plans, this is one of those plans that only God himself has worked out. My neighbor is a veteran, so he's trained in traumatic situations like that. And Lindsay had heard me scream in the backyard to call 911. She didn't know what had happened. She doesn't deal with, like the hangnail of blood at all. So she just bolted. She figured what had happened, and she bolted to the neighbor's house, and got Jack. And he come over there, and I just didn't know what to do. Like, I was worried about him feeling pain, or I just knew it was about to come, or it was about to be unbearable for him. And it never did, though. He was just like, it just burns. Like, it's okay. Like, he didn't really understand why I was freaking out so bad, but I wouldn't let him look at it. And so Jack come around, and he was like, man, I just need you to get some ice and some towels. He's like, I'm going to try to stop the bleeding till the EMS gets here. Just very calmly. And when I come back outside, he had him flipped over on his belly and his leg bent up, and was almost stopped bleeding, like just a matter of minutes. The EMS got there, and and by that time everything was just really setting in. And
when he took off in his run around the house, was there like blood gushing?
Well,
a trail.
It seems like I remember when it first happened, when he landed on his butt on the ground. It seems like I did see like a gush, but I didn't know how bad. If it was just a cut on his leg or what, if the edge of the mower had caught him or something, or burned him, I didn't know. But it seems like I remember seeing that, that pretty gruesome sight for a second. That's why I immediately knew something had happened, because he took off running scared. But, but I didn't really realize how it was till I got him on the back table and laid him down and held his foot up and just wouldn't let him look at it, and trying to, balance all that emotion. And then the EMS was like, you're not going in the ambulance with him. Like, you're not with you acting like this. And I was like, lady, with all due respect, there ain't enough of you out here to keep me out of that ambulance, and I was like, and you're gonna have to call a lot more. And I said, I'm cool. Like, I'll ride in the front, I'll do whatever, but somebody's got to go with him, and then here Lindsay is like 8 months pregnant, so we're worried about her sending herself
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, sending herself into labor. She was like hyperventilating, so the EMS is tending to her, knowing that she's, about ready to pop. And so it was a day, and I went and, he let them put an IV in, and, it was funny, just trying to bring light to the situation, just how he is. The nurse or the EMS lady called up front and said, Lawson is back here. He's feeling great, and he's wondering why there's no sirens on. And he would really like the sirens to be on. So, and that's so typical.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so he's just like, what, we're doing all this, and I don't even get no sirens, and it's like, so, but it wasn't like he was so calm, it wasn't an emergency. They were just tending to him in the back, and, and
what a tough kid.
The guy was like,
oh, it just burns, Dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just burns. And that's all he would say. He's like, it just burns a little. But when we got to the ER, I started really getting anxious, because I could tell, like, in his face, he's like, oh, the adrenaline was running off, and it was really starting to hurt him. And I was just like, hey, we have to get somebody over here. Like, we ain't gonna let this flare up, like, come on now. We got to get something in him, and then it was just, like the doctor, trying to talk to the surgeon as much as I can. And like I said, like, the things that was already in the plans of that day, we got like the best surgeon in the whole area. He was a veteran, an amputee specialist. From like Duke, like the best person that we could have had. And they took him back immediately to surgery because of what type of injury it was, not necessarily an amputation, but the fact that lawnmower blades are very dirty. So, I asked him, is there a way to fix this, like reconnect, whatever, and he's like, to be honest, on a, and he even not really made light of it, but he was like, if we put a cap on what potentially could cause infection, from a dirty wound like this, he's like, I really want it to be open. And he's like, and I know that there's horror stories out there of balance loss, and will he ever walk again? Will he walk with a limp? This, that, and the other. And he's like, no, he won't. And he's like, you got to think about it. He's 4 years old. He's only been walking really good for like a year and a half. He has so much foot growth, so much development. And he said, as soon as he starts to try to walk again, his brain, and he's like, now, if you had the same injury, you would have a long way to recover to ever get back, or anybody of your age or older, because you're developed and your brain knows what to expect. And he's like, that being gone, that would be hard for you to adjust to. But him, it will be an adjustment, but not nearly what you're thinking. And he was like, he will run again. He will jump. He'll do everything he wants to do. He'll be fine. And he's like, but you got to understand, if I put, which I doubt he could have even put it back on, he said, if I do, the repercussion of an infection could be below his knee. And he's like, and we don't want that. So he's like, I'd rather take a few toes than a whole leg, or below his knee. He's like, because then at that point, he won't do everything he wants to do with sports and this, that, and the other, unless it's in like a special league, amputee league or something like that. And I was like, well, I get it. But I was like, you're sure? You're positive? Like, he'll be fine without it. And he's like, I know 100% he'll be fine without it. And he actually had like a recovery rate that was a hell of a lot faster than what they expected, just like how he is, so.
Does he feel any sort of sadness, loss, grief?
No, not that I've really experienced. Obviously we just try to navigate it day by day, but as far as like any hidden issue or anxiety, like obviously the expected thing is he doesn't want to be outside when I'm mowing the grass.
Sure.
And I get that. And so like really what we tried to do for a little while is like when I had to mow the grass, Lindsay would take him to get ice cream. Because it was traumatic stress for all of us. Lindsay, if I'd run over a rock in the yard or something, just hearing that noise, me the first time cranking up that lawnmower, I about threw up. It was just one of those things where you just have to get through it and do the best that you can. It's just being thankful for what didn't happen, what could have happened, how much worse it could have been, and just counting your blessings with every disadvantage that comes along, and that's really in life just how you got to do. I don't like to make it sound light, like it's easy to get over with, because I don't feel like it is fair to the traumatic event that he will have to deal with throughout his life. But at the same time, it's like, I still struggle with guilt, obviously, I always will as a dad. But him, he tells me all the time, it's like, he's like, I don't even think about it. Like, it's weird, and I've even experienced it with his friends, like we went to like some Sky Zone or something, a little trampoline park. You got to change your socks. Well, he sat down, he pulled his sock off, and this kid's like, you only got 3 toes. And he's like, yep, you only got 5. Just like, he just didn't bother, it didn't faze him, So, he's never really been embarrassed about it.
This kid's great.
Yeah, so, he's very tough-minded.
But what a fucking day to go through for your family. Your wife, pregnant, 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was. And like I said, it's just like I haven't used it as a soapbox of like, you shouldn't do that because of this. Because like I said, had it not happened, I'd been mowing the grass today with Gentry on there. And it's just one of those things like, as a parent, like, we're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Things happen. And, you just can, some things you just try not, it's a little harder to try not to blame yourself for certain things. And that's some just deep, dark prayer and talk that I've just dealt with, and probably will always deal with. But I feel like we're in a good, healed position. Our eyes are open. We're a lot more careful. And it could have been an instant that prepared us for something to where we protect him from something else happening because of the cautiousness that it caused. But, yeah, super thankful for all those doctors. And I'm here to tell you, there is a special God hand chosen people that work in that children's wing at Mission. Because, sorry, they made things so easy, and that's all I'm thankful for.
Yeah. Well, kudos to the Children's Hospital at Mission and those nurses. Good stuff. And glad that they had that impact on Lawson and on you.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to take our next break. We'll be back for our third and final segment with Ryan Perry here in just a bit. We're going to drop his new single and tell you about some 2023 plans and beyond. We'll be right back.
In 2023, lines will be crossed, champions will be determined, and legends will be made. HVW once again sets the stage for great professional wrestling in Western North Carolina, bringing the best talent together for the Showdown Series at Silverados. Featuring TJ Boss, Jada, Stone, Reno, Royce, Luca, Daniels, Marcus, Erics, Michael, King, and King Enterprise. The bar and standard in professional wrestling has always been high in North Carolina. This year, High Velocity Wrestling takes that into the atmosphere. It's the Showdown Series at Silverados.
In the booth, Ryan Perry. We've been talking about all the things, man. You had quite the last few years, both personally and professionally, and it's for me satisfying just to sit here and slow life down and dig into it and just open up and talk about it. For your fans and our audience, there's been a lot of people worried about you and your family, and I'm sure they're glad to hear from you personally and hear about this directly from your mouth. So I'm glad we did this today. One other less than fun subject to talk about is we'll route our way there. But we met years ago through the DJ circuit, and we worked for competing companies and all that fun stuff over the last 15 years or so. But you. One guy that we both had the privilege of working for is David Whitaker, and I know we lost him some time back. How long has it been now?
I think it was 2014.
2014, so we're coming up on a decade, and I just want to acknowledge that. I'm not sure why. I know he meant a lot to a lot of people around here, but specifically to you. You all were best buds. I got to train him to be a DJ. So I was there for the very, very beginning, and I was out. And I know you guys went on to have quite the run together.
Yeah. I met David kind of like on my introduction to the DJing. We all went down to like this thing at Quaker Steak and Lube in Greenville in Harley-Davidson, and he was in the very back, and I was kind of in the middle, just like all these people I didn't really know, and he was just really the one that I immediately gravitated to. I mean, anybody that knew him, he had a, one of those personalities that you're just like, man, this dude is funny, like, and he's easy to talk to, and we had that relationship where I just called him sometimes and I was like, you son of a bitch. Like, I'm so sick of your shit. Like, quit whining, or whatever. And he would do the same thing to me. Like, what the hell is this shit on Facebook about? Whatever. And, and it was just some things like, we had some differences and things like that happened throughout, but any good friendship has that. But he was one of my very best friends. And there's still, even like I said, you said it's almost coming up on a decade. There's still times where I'm just like, man, if I could just call him and tell him about this is so damn funny. I know he would die laughing. But one thing about David is I know for a fact, like, and maybe he still is in spirit. I hope he is. But, where I'm at today, he would be right there in the front seat of the van. Like, dude, I'm going. Like, I want to do, like, where I just play music beforehand or whatever. Like, I want to be a part of it. And, and that's what I would want. So, and I've had numerous people. He had a lot of people believing at one point in time that we were like actual brothers, so, that was cool. And, sometimes I'd be like, well, we're not real brothers, but like, I mean, brothers from another mother. And they're like, no, he said like, you're brothers, like same mom. And I was like, well, no, I mean, yeah, we're probably that close, but you know, let me explain things a little bit. But you know, he thought enough to me to want to tell people that we were that close. And
Sure.
you know, loved him to death. And then, you know, the day that I got the news, you know, it was just on Facebook that he had went to the hospital. And I was super close to David, so I knew he had had some issues in the past with blood pressure and, you know, headaches and back pain and this, that, and the other. But like all of us DJs in the low years, none of us had insurance, you know, so it's like we just didn't have it. Okay, couldn't afford it, whatever. And then we lived very unhealthy lifestyles, late nights, Jaeger bombs, you know. It's just one of them things.
You miss it? You miss the DJ days?
Man, I probably not like the DJing, but I definitely miss the people. Like, I mean, and that's why I'm still like glad that I do what I do. But
did you always have your eyes on this? Like when you
No.
started DJing, was your plan to end up here today?
I had an idea that it would, like, as a dream, but ever, you know, did I ever see myself doing what I'm doing now? No. And that's what is kind of sort of unique about myself is like, I really didn't even start singing until 18, 19 years old at all. Like I didn't even know I could carry a tune in a bucket, period. I used to just, I was just your normal guy. Like I went to college. I went to Haywood Community College for a couple years, and I was studying to be like a federal wildlife marshal or a game warden or something like that of the sense, park ranger, whatever. Knew I wanted to be something outdoors because that's what I really love to do when I ain't got nothing else to do is go fishing or, you know, I used to do a lot of deer hunting before I was gone on the weekends all the time. But that's what I wanted to do was to be outside and on a boat, riding a four-wheeler, whether it be working or whatever. So there was some trials and tribulations that came up, misunderstandings within the course of how to get to be a game warden. So there's a lot of things, a lot of volunteer work, a lot of moving, a lot of, you know, stuff where you do things where it kind of like withholds your future to a later time. And I couldn't see myself being about 30, 31 years old and still not really being set in a consistent career. Because anybody knows that's in the game warden game, it's a waiting game. Like nobody ever leaves that job.
Right.
So it's like when they have enough, you have to wait till they retire before there's an opening. And then you're still at the end of a long list of people in front of you. So it's very hard, and that's why there's a lot of relocation because they'll send you to Wyoming or something.
Why do you think people don't leave that job?
Because government benefits. It's a great job. I mean, anybody who loves the outdoors would
peaceful,
want that job. Yeah. I mean, you know, it is dangerous because everyone that you approach, whether it be like to check their fishing license or whatever, there's a good possibility they have a weapon on them of some sort, knife, gun, whatever. So, I mean, all law enforcement back them 100% because they're super brave humans. But I was just always told, like, everybody, when you're in hunting season that you approach has a gun, you know, so, and you're in the middle of nowhere in the woods, anything could happen. So, you know, not discrediting any other law enforcement position, but, you know, that's the way it was always put to me. That's the only unpeaceful part about it was, you know, it wasn't all just, you know, capturing and tagging game or whatever, you know, or doing plots on how much wildlife we have in one area, whatever. But anyway, so there was so much that I didn't see myself in my life plans waiting that long to be secured in a career because I'm like 30. When you're 17, 18 years old, like, man, 30 years old? Like, I should be well over, you know, not knowing now, like, I still ain't got my shit together. And it's just like, but back then, I expected by this time, like, you should really be set in something and doing something. So I didn't want to, I just dropped out. Like, I didn't want to. I was just like, man, I can't wait that long if that's the way it is. Like, I want to graduate school and I want to be into a, you know, somewhere like, you know, BLET, like on the way. Like, let's get this done. Find a job somewhere, whatever, settle down. So then I kind of like floated a little while at Ingalls Warehouse. As most people who come out of Swannanoa Black Mountain have been at the Ingalls Warehouse at one point in time. I was a picker in the freezer. I think on and off for like 3 or 4 years. And then while doing that, I got really good at playing pool. So I used to play at like the Monta Vista up there in Black Mountain. Would play down there at what is now Silverados. A few different places around town that we'd play back when it was, what was it? Norton's back then was the Social now. So I'll just go around playing pool. But the reason I was at those places at 18, 19 years old was because my parents had a group of friends that they would go around and sing karaoke with.
Sure.
So my mom's like...
Who was that, by the way? Who was that? Friends?
Doing the karaoke at the time.
I'll edit this out. I'm just curious.
Yeah. At those places, it was Billy, the guy over Get Vocal at Norton's.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then I think it was at, what was it at the time? The Shovelhead, I think, is what it was called at the time. It was Rosie.
Would your mom and dad get up and sing?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Nice.
My mom more so than my dad. My dad actually came into it a little later, but like me, he was over on the pool table, and we were usually like running the pool tables and stuff. And met a lot of great people playing, doing that. But my mom's like, you're always like, and I listen to rap music. And when I say rap music, like rap music, it wasn't nothing for me to like pull out of there blasting Project Pat or 3 6 Mafia or something like that. Like I was really into the rap game. And, she's like, you should just get up there and sing. And I was like, I only know like a few country songs. And I was like, I've never sang in my life. Like, why do you all of a sudden have this, like, oh, it's just do it for fun. Nobody cares. Nobody's really, really good at it. And I'm just like, that person that's singing right now is really pretty good. There's some, and even if they're not that good, they're a hell of a lot better than me. And I was like, and I can't even stand up straight giving a presentation to my class in school, like much less get up there and try to sing and do whatever. And then finally, like there was a night where she signed me up and didn't tell me while I left because I got mad. And I was like, stop doing that. Like, I just want to play pool. That's all I want to do. I don't want to sing. And then a couple weeks later or whatever, my dad's like, I'll get up there and do it with you. If you'll just hold the microphone, you don't even got to sing. Just get up there and see what it's like. And I was like, I don't know why it's such a big deal, but okay, that's fine. And it was actually at the Shovelhead, and we did Family Tradition. And my knees were shaking so bad I almost passed out. I couldn't even like hum a tune. I was just like, oh, I did drink, just like scared to death. But even though it was that bad, people still clapped. And there was just something about it where I was like, man, that was a lot of fun. I love that. Well, then for like a few weeks later, like I would always sing with someone, till I got enough confidence. But at that point in time, I totally shifted. Like I was learning new country songs, and I was blasting country songs in my car, trying to sing along, and then got to it, and then got offered the opportunity to host and just kind of cut my chops there, figuring out ranges and different that. And, and I'm still figuring out ranges and stuff to this day, different lengths and highs and lows and ranges and runs. It's just, in anything, you should be open to learning new things every day. And I feel like it's the people who think they've got it figured out that always end up losing, because you didn't know it all. Here's a whole new section that could have showed you how to navigate this, but you didn't want to learn it. So like I always try to be open-minded about that kind of stuff.
Well, speaking of new things, you are here today to promote your new single.
Yes.
You're going to be promoting it tomorrow night at the Social with your single release party.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now's the time for us to go ahead and play this for our audience. You
Let's
ready?
do it. Yes.
All right. Y'all take a listen. This
Enjoy.
is Ryan. This is So Much Time, Ryan Perry's brand new single. Check it out.
Got that trophy, but all those nights on a bar stool, sipping on some strong proof, never got nowhere drunk. I live my days like I had some to waste, no reason to change my life. Spent so much time trying, chasing down temporary highs. My God was always gonna be in my prime till I met you. Finally had something to lose. You changed the rock I was spinning on. I wanna slow down, make every second count. Love makes you find that you only have so much time. If we only get so many sunsets, let's sit here till the moon Spent so much time trying, chasing down temporary highs, like I was always gonna be in my prime till I met you. Finally had something to lose. You changed the rock I was spinning on. I wanna slow down, make every second count. Love makes you find that you only have so much time. So much time.
And welcome back. You heard it here first. Well, you might have heard it at midnight last night
Hope so.
when it came out. We hope you've already heard it about 150,000 times.
Yeah.
So he gets paid. Speaking of that, man, how does that work? So how many times does somebody have to Spotify your shit till you get a check? Like, what's the deal with that?
Well, let's see, for hometown, and this is really the only thing I really have to go by. And it was just funny because I sent the picture of it to my manager, and I was like, I'm going to supersize my meal at McDonald's tonight. I was like, so for my hometown, and everything that it did, currently, let's see, we put it out in October, so I really can't even say currently, but October to December, to the new year, BMI sent me a check for $12. And I think it's sitting at like 8,000 streams on Spotify or something like that. And then who knows on iTunes, Deezer, YouTube Music, all that different stuff. So I mean, it really, I see why people are very, some artists are very like bitter towards Spotify or whatever. And honestly, as artists, like I can't say that, we don't deserve more. I mean, like it is what it, but I get it just is what
So
it
like
is.
if you got a co-writer on a song,
Mhm.
are they going to send you a check and the co-writers separate checks, or is it your responsibility
Well, see that
to split those royalties?
right. So everybody who registers with BMI or ASCAP or whoever it is, they have a number, just a registration number, and then whenever the song is copywritten, and usually the way that I've experienced, like, and I'll be honest, I'm still learning a lot about this part, but from what I've gathered in a short time, like if we were writing a song right now, it would just be split 3 ways. Or if there's 4 people in the room, split 4 ways evenly. And there is 200%. There is a publishing and then a writer's credit. So it's like 100% of writer's royalty and 100% of publishing. I have my own publishing company, as most of these other writers in Nashville do as well. Mm-hmm. So I would get, if there were 4 people, I would get 25% writer's credit, 25% publishing. So 50% of the 200, as they would get the same. And that's just the easiest way. There is other.
Are those amounts identical? The writer's credit and the.
Yes.
Okay.
But the advantage I have as songwriters, that's the only real estate that they own in the song. I have the performance credit, the master own, because I paid to record it, all that different stuff. So, and all that stuff, like if Aldine or somebody comes in and wants to, do like a Brantley Gilbert situation, theirs might be a little bit different because he had already released the songs and he pretty much did like a cover, but it ultimately, and even Brantley Gilbert said this, like it was the best thing that ever happened to him, as a songwriter, performer, everything changed his career. But
so for the record, you're absolutely okay with that.
Absolutely.
Jason Aldean wants to put your song out. You're like, fucking A right.
Take
Go
it.
for it.
Go, yes,
Okay.
please, tomorrow. But if there is like they all are, when you put it to BMI, or if like one of them has like a publishing deal with a company or whatever, it goes into like kind of like a file or whatever. Like everybody has their catalog. And from what I've learned, these big time writers in Nashville that I'm working with, they have like an A category, a B category, and then lower on the ones. But the ones they really want to promote, they put in that first click profile or category. So it really, writing with people who have their BMI and their ASCAP number and stuff. So to answer your question, as far as splitting that up, when I register the song, we have like a written agreement that everybody is good with these percentages. It shows everybody that we're being equal, and then BMI will see that their number's registered with the song, this number, and then you have to enter the percentages on the BMI or ASCAP website, and then they split, and they take care of them. So that's kind of what they do. Like they're just pretty much like the big brothers of the music industry. Like they'll come after venues that aren't paying a royalty for cover bands or whatever, just.
Oh, I'm very familiar.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not familiar with not paying them. My wife
Right.
does everything by the book.
Right, yeah.
But there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
3 agencies that come to get with their hand out
Yep.
for all venues.
And that's what, and I did in the past know of a venue that thought they were just telemarketer kind of people. Like, man, I ain't paying you shit. Like, I paid the band,
Oh,
whatever.
they can shut your ass down.
No, a freaking dude showed up like an agent from the Matrix and was like, motherfucker, like, you're going to pay us.
Right.
So that was just the only incident I've had. But, I mean, they'd had a ton of live music in there and stuff, and he just kept hanging up on them. And I guess they just got pissed and they showed up. But as I say, whether it's radio play, they play your songs live, whatever. Like they're there to be like, I got to split this up,
Yep.
you made your money from the performance. They got to get money for the rights, so, which is cool. It's less headache for us and as songwriters, performers, and all that stuff. So they kind of, once you put it on there, you don't have to think about it no more.
What do you do in your free time? What do you do for fun other than fishing? You told us that.
Yep. Trout fish, and then usually it's I'm not as spontaneous as I would like to be due to just overall budgeting, but I like to just go somewhere. Like let's just go somewhere.
Yeah.
When I have time, and now Lawson's in school and stuff, and Lindsay works through the week and stuff, and I'm mainly the weekend, so there's not a whole lot of time there usually. But I mean, I love to just drop in on family, if I can, or anything. Even though I play music all the time, like I love to go out and listen to other artists and stuff like that. That's why Nashville, even though I try to go for like a week at a time each month. For the record, why I have not made that move down there, like I said earlier, I'm very overstimulated, and it's hard enough for me here to shut it off. So it's like if I was there, I would have like fear of missing out so bad that I would never be home and never sleep. Never
Right. You're going to want to be on that strip all the time,
Right.
reaching every country music lover that you can.
Anywhere,
I see
rubbing
that.
elbows, like, man, you didn't come out to the Red Door tonight. Freaking Hardy was over here just hanging out and just like, shit. It's like, no, I got to be there every night to make sure I don't miss him when he comes back. So it's good that I love being here and I love having my roots here. And, I feel very secure here. So moving over there would just, I enjoy my time to go for a week and then come back.
Sure.
And it's just like, I got it. We're good.
So talk to me about what's beyond tomorrow night at the Social. What's next? You got a Harris play coming up or anything on the horizon? Locally, and then I know you got a summer tour, of course.
Yeah, locally. Like I said, I mean, I'm super excited about I've always loved playing at the Social. And
We
then
love having you, brother, for sure.
yeah, and I think like the next day I'm actually in North Myrtle Beach, and then I come right back and I'm doing like an acoustic brunch thing at the Spillway in Marion. But
Is that a full band in Myrtle Beach?
no, I actually, what I've done is created like a little run, Sophie that's on the show with me, another great songwriter and singer. I'm telling you right now, she does Fleetwood Mac better than Fleetwood Mac does Fleetwood Mac.
Is she with Brio
So,
also?
Not
Not yet.
not officially. Yeah. So, I mean, she will be working in with us a bunch. I told Abby that I wanted to put her on as much as we could, just to kind of give back as much as, because she's the one that's introduced me to all the writers. She's the one that has introduced me to this producer. Really just stuck her neck out in something she's already worked hard to be a part of with these Sony writers and stuff like that, telling them about me and having them cancel rights to come write and do work tapes with me and stuff. And I'm just like, Sophie, like, you have to live here. Don't stick your neck out too far. I'm not impressed none of them. And she's like, no, we all believe in you. Like, I really feel like this is good. So the fact that, it's very rare to find an artist that wants to help another artist that isn't like over the top yet. You know, so she's a very special person, and I appreciate everything that she's done. So when she comes to town, obviously I wanted to put her on there because she is a co-writer, one of the co-writers on So Much Time, and she's going to be doing like an acoustic set opening kind of thing, and we'll get to know her through that. But also while she's here, we kind of put together like a trio thing. We're going to do that in Myrtle Beach, and then on Sunday, her and I will do like a duo thing at the Spillway, so she can kind of make, you know, at least cover some funds for coming into town and hanging out, make it, you know, worthwhile. She said she would do it anyway, but, you know, just as kind of like a thank you.
Awesome, man. We look forward to seeing her.
Yeah.
What motivates your writing? Like, what's your process there?
Well, a lot of things. I am like a tough shell, like an outer shell person. I come off as a big tough guy, but I tell you, I try not to write things that are too close to home, because it's hard for me to get through them on stage, you know, and I struggle with that very, very bad. And that's something that a lot of people don't really know is a lot of, especially in the past, I felt like a lot of my writing became like cookie cutter, complacent, you know, just trying to fit in. And then my hometown was the first thing I'd really written that was like close to me. And then I have another song that a few people have heard online called Love Dad that I wrote for Gentry. And Sophie actually helped me co-write that one too. And that was kind of our introduction to our friendship. Very meaningful song, but I tell you right now, like it's true grit trying to get through it if I do play it live. Because the first like, oh, I hear, it's just like, I know, it's so sad. But like, you know, but it's not sad. It's just, you know, a beautiful song, but about somebody you care about. So my inspiration is really just like a mood. I think it's that for most songwriters is like, if I'm riding down the road and I hear somebody say something and I'm listening to like, you know, something rocking or whatever that's really got like I'm like, man, yeah, let's write like a beer anthem chant song or something. Or, you know, and then it's like, you listen to something and it's kind of like cloudy day and it's raining and I'm like, man, I could write the shit out of a breakup song right now. And, you know, and you hear a line that would turn into something. But, you know, I've told Sophie and these writers in Nashville, like the way you guys do things has really opened up. Because I've been kind of on like a writer's block for a while because I'm so used to doing things by myself. And then Dakota come in and help me write my hometown, all that stuff. So I was really starting to learn how to write with other people and do well. And then whenever Sophie took me into this room, now I'm so damn slow and backwoods. Like I walked in there and I had a pencil in my pocket, you know, ready to like, okay, you guys are going to have notepads and write this shit down and grind it out. Now I walk in and it's like a studio like this one, sort of, and there's a big TV on the wall. And I'm newly introduced to iPhone. And now, I mean, I've been diehard Droid for most of my whole cell phone having life. But I understand why everybody likes the iPhones, because for songwriters, you can communicate, the devices communicate so easily that it's just compatible with the way they write. So I'm sitting here like ready to pull my pencil out, and then they're like, did you get the Google Doc? And I'm like, the what? And they're like, the Google document I sent to you in your email. And I was like, let me see. Yeah, what is this? And I clicked on it, and then I see like these little flags with their name on it, and they're typing things. And I'm
in
like,
real time.
Yeah, I'm like, who's doing that? And then like it's, you know, the other writer, Tamara, over there on her laptop just doing this. And then I look up on that big screen, and she's mirrored it, and it's going up there. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I didn't even say nothing about my pencil. I just slid it back in my pocket, and I was like, oh, so this is how you guys write. And then, I mean, I'm serious, like the writing.
Bro, that's just scratching the surface. Have you watched any of this AI stuff?
No.
Like, man,
It scares me.
it's scary as hell. It's cool as hell, but it's scary as hell. And I'm like my third podcast talking about it. My audience is going to get tired of me talking about it. But, bro, like David Guetta at this music festival was like, he had programmed in write lyrics in the style of Eminem, make them sound like Eminem. There's two facets to it. Mm-hmm. And then he starts pumping this beat because he's a producer. That's what he does, and start plugging in this AI Eminem. And it's like the dopest Eminem. That's
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's getting to where it kind of outsmarts you in a sense.
Yeah, like how will that affect creativity? Mm-hmm. If you don't have to write the song.
Right.
If you got a robot that'll do it for you.
Well, that's the same thing
they'll write fucking novels for you, Ryan.
Yep. Just with like one topic.
Yeah.
I've seen
Write a story about a 10-year-old boy in Mississippi about racism or whatever,
and then
boom,
draw a picture of him to look like this.
Yeah, make it 200 pages, and boom,
Yeah.
it writes it. Like
That's crazy.
it's really going to be interesting.
But
to
it's
see
sort of
how-
the same thing, and I don't know if they flopped or not. I'm not really big in like. I mean, I'm a very good strummer on guitar. Like I'm not like a guitar player that I would say. Yeah, right. So like, they have these Gibsons to where you just run the pick down all 6 strings and the tuner knobs tune for you. And it was like something like 2021 that they came out with. And then like obviously the thing I heard more than anything was like, now damn, you ain't even got to learn to be a musician. You just strum the damn strings and it tunes the shit. Like how you supposed to play a guitar? You don't even know how to tune the damn thing. You know, like how you gonna know if it ain't tuned? And I'm just like, I don't know. It's pretty damn cool to me, but you know, whatever. I get it. You know,
same way GPS allows us to drive to Myrtle Beach without a map, or
That's
you
what I'm
know,
saying.
It's, but
thank God for
it
GPS
also-
because my mom still couldn't get the damn upward road without it.
But it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Elon Musk is talking about this technology can remove humanity in 30 minutes.
Yeah. And
Like if it decides it wants to take us over,
yep.
it can end us all in 30 minutes.
And here we are in iRobot. And it's like, you guys made movies about
Like,
this and
seriously,
still thought it
the
was a
shit-
good idea.
The shit we've been watching in movies our whole lives, Terminator, it's coming to be reality.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was like somebody doing something with the mammoths or whatever. And it's like, did you not see something out of like the 16 Jurassic Parks? This is not a good idea. Like,
Speaking of Elon Musk, what's your thoughts on old Elon Musk?
man, I think he's brilliant, brilliant mind, brilliant enough to be dangerous. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't foresee him to be like a threat or anything like that. And I know everybody's got a different view on this kind of stuff, but
You happy you took over Twitter?
I'm sorry. Oh yes, yeah. Well, you know, and not just for political things, just like, you know, it's in the Constitution. Like we should not be
Right.
censored. Do I think that everybody needs to have their opinion heard? No. That's why I think everybody was happier before social media and a lot less stressful, is because you know, 10 houses down the street you couldn't holler loud enough for to read their status, you know, and it's just like,
I am absolutely a fanboy. Like I'm not big right or left. I'm not real political.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I lean a little right for the most part ish, but I'm a free speech absolutist, which is how Elon Musk described himself, and I've adopted that. And people got to be able to say what they want to say.
so I'm saying,
And let that guide you to whether you choose to interact with them or not. If you don't like what they got to say, move along.
and I try to walk a fine line and be respectful of others. Like, you know, you don't have to believe the way that I believe for me to like you or whatever. And I know there's people out there who are that way. You know, they just cannot agree if everybody doesn't fall in line. But, you know, just like a recent thing I seen, it's just like, man, like they're kind of like coming after the people who had Twitter for silencing like college graduate, the best schools in the world, doctors who were trying to give information to help save lives, and they censored it. Yeah. And that's, to me, that should be, I mean, definitely dealt with, because, you know, I have some very close people to me who dealt with loss from COVID because they simply just didn't, you know, the doctors were doing things that they weren't informing them about. There's other things at home we could have done to protect ourselves, to be better prepared. And it's just, it's scary when somebody has that much control to alter news and alter and censor. I mean, that's just completely un-American to our Constitution, I believe. But like I said, it's just one of them things that, you know, I'm thankful that he is open for open speech and all that stuff. But I still go back to like, should, you know, Janie down the street be able to tell me on Facebook how she feels about today's election? I don't really care, you know, but that's the beauty of living in America. Like, I don't have to care.
Right.
You know? So,
Sure. Just a few more questions here, Ryan. We're going to let you out of here, buddy. I know you're busy.
No, you're
Give me a dream duet. If you could collaborate with any artist, who would it be?
Man, I really love Ashley McBride. I would love to do a duet with her. I love her tone, her grit, and I've said since the first time I've heard her, I was like, that's going to be the next Reba McEntire. Right there, that girl, I mean, she can write, she can sing, she can perform, she's down to earth, and I would love the opportunity to work with her. And then, Lindsay knows this, but I love Lainey Wilson a lot. She's good. She's good. But no,
she's very good.
Yeah, she's very talented. Aside from why she really went viral, we all know what it is. Just watch TikTok for 5 seconds. But no, her songs are great, and she seems to be a very wholesome, humble person. So anybody like that, I would love to work with. As far as like on a duet now, like a collab, like and Sophie, she's like, man, you use him as a reference a lot, like, but you're so in a good way, like different, but I would love to work with Hardy. Like, I mean, he's just everything about him, like, is just, he's a genius with the songwriting, the way he markets himself, the way he's been able, and he put it the best way that I've ever heard, in a sense, is he's like, man, I didn't want to bring rock into this to get away from country or the country fans. He's not like I've had this different passion of country, or different passion of rock versus country. He said, I just wanted to bring the two together so I can have like rock fans that are like, I love being at this country concert, and then also country fans that it's not so far over to where that brings them. Because I think most rock country fans, we came from Theory of a Dead Man, Nickelback, and all that, whatever people's stance is on Nickelback. I know that's a fine line as well anyway, but regardless, they had some great music out there, Linkin Park and all those guys, and I hear a sense of that in his rock stuff, and so I'm just kind of like, man, 2000s coming back with all that, and and then he just said, it's really cool that a rock guy's like, man, I hate country, but I love your stuff, and I've experienced that, so I know how he feels, and I think it's funny that they call it emo music, because we had hip hop and bro country and all that stuff, but now we have emo, and I think that's pretty funny. So, are you
speaking of hip hop? Could you ever see yourself collabing with somebody like Upchurch?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm always open to that. Like, and I even talked to Dakota Moss in the past. I was like, man, you should write like get us like a hook going or something. Let me sing it. Like, I think that would be really cool. And
we need to work on that. Let's make that happen.
I think that's really awesome.
Dakota's coming on the show here in a couple weeks.
Cool, man. Yeah, no, I mean, we could definitely make that happen. I think that would be cool. But something like that. I mean, I'm open to, like I said, do I ever think that I would go a hip hop route? No, because I'm not a rapper. But like, I really dug the stuff like singing the hooks and stuff and having a catchy, because there's art in rap. That's what I came from before, not as an artist, but that's the music that I always listened to before I went to country. So there is artistic value in rap. A lot of people that listen to country and been diehard country their whole lives, they discredit it in a sense. But I think there's art form in all music, and just because one person doesn't like a song doesn't mean it's not a good song. It's just, and that's what I always, it's kind of like a crowd pleaser in a sense, like how you handle a situation. But like, man, why don't you play some Merle or some Hank in your shows? And we do play some Hank Jr., but like, I need some Waylon. I need some Don Williams. And all this new crap sucks, and this, that, and the other. And it's just like, well, look, man, and with that, I do value that stuff. They are the foundation. They paved the ways. The Joe Diffie, the Alan Jackson, Merle Haggard, all of those. You cannot. There is no way that you can discredit them for anything. And everything.
You also can't make a living on just that in today's market.
Well, and I wish that, I love Cody Jinks. I love Tyler Childers. It's not uncommon to hear that in my acoustic shows. And like, I love that stuff. But as far as like, it all comes down to marketing, like what I'm trying to market myself as. Like, I can't go up there and do a whole slew of Johnny Cash and Hank Williams and then come out with so much time. But I truly do love the Morgan Wallen stuff, the Hardy, but next song could be a Hank Williams song. It's just, there's nothing wrong with having variety, but then the next song after Hank Williams could be In Sync, and it's just like, and then after that it could be Mary J. Blige. And I have this very broad, and that comes from the DJ scene. I mean, you had to be on your A game at any time at a wedding for whatever they wanted. Yep. And one of my guilty pleasures is Motown. And I think a lot of that is where I've developed like the soulful sound that I have, is because with my grandmother, it's Percy Sledge, The Temptations, Marvin Gaye, and I still love that stuff. You know, so I mean, I think that in every aspect of life there should be room for development and change and all that stuff. And it's just, it would be pretty boring if everyone sounded like George Jones all the time, you know, or if that's the only, because unfortunately with time, what he has put out, that's it. Like they've passed, they've made their foundation staple in music. They are the godfathers of it. They, you know, we rest on their shoulders for what we do. And, you know, but what he has put out, there's never going to be a new release. There's never going to be. So it's like, find beauty in the fact that you're getting new music and try to appreciate that person for trying to create something for the listeners, you know, and then like, you're not going to like everything. I get that.
It's funny you say that. It kind of reminds me of Caleb Johnson a little bit. He, guy's clearly one of the best vocalists that any of us have ever heard. I mean, he's just ungodly good, but his style will always, it doesn't look like it's come, you know, I'm just thankful he's got this Meatloaf project and these other things, because, you know, society is not looking for that style of rock anymore. And it's unfortunate because he's such a badass.
I mean, and if anybody, and I'll say this confidently, if anybody could give that back in today, it would be Caleb Johnson. I mean, if anybody's like, man, I wish there was a new Bon Jovi. I wish there was a new Whitesnake. There is your Whitesnake. You want that? That's it. But unfortunately, there is just such a small market for that. And I really think, I mean, he really honestly could do anything.
Sure.
But I think if, like, I still will turn on YouTube and listen to that song, Take Me to the River. I can't remember. It's like, it was a long time ago. It was like a music video, but I'll still jam that song. Like, and I'm just like, man, I wonder if he would ever be interested in doing like a blues thing, like a collaboration even. Like, and I'm just like, man, I think if he went like, because he could do the Chris Stapleton stuff all day long, you know, and I'm just like, people are loving that. But I know, and it's just like any artist, like you're not going to veer away from what your heart really, what excites you. And it's obvious like that style of music, the Whitesnake, the Bon Jovi, the Led Zeppelin, all that stuff excites him. And that's where his creativity lies, you know, and it's awesome stuff. And like I said, I hope that it comes back, because if anybody could find a treasure in today's music, I haven't heard anybody other than something like Greta Van Fleet. Is that what it's called? Something that's marketing that close. Unless you go to like Blackberry Smoke or Whiskey Myers or something like that, or even our good buddies Georgia Thunderbolts. Some guys are, I mean, since we opened for them, and then Kentucky Headhunters, I mean, we've stayed in contact with them boys, and we opened for them again in Virginia, and then we have another festival this year coming with them. Hopefully,
they're good dudes.
They're super cool guys, just laid back, and you know, they're such old souls that you feel like you're having an opportunity to sit down with like the Allman Brothers, because I mean we're all the same age, but they got this different vibe. It's like, man, we're such badasses sitting here talking to these guys, like, you know. So I love them to death, and their lead singer, he's a really good dude. I like them a lot.
So we asked this on every artist, musician that comes through. I think you probably already answered it. That if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? Would that game warden? I'm assuming based on what you've told me, but maybe not. Maybe at this stage in life you have a different.
Yeah, I mean, if something happened today and I had to give up singing, performing, I would still, you know, when I really reflect on things, a lot of the reason I didn't pursue music at a younger age, which I wish I had of, because I was actually pretty good at like 10, 11 years old. I got my mom and dad bought me my first guitar, and I picked up, you know, Smoke on the Water, could play like, you know, my mom's like, I still have PTSD over that da da da, because I played it so many different times, and she said, you know, but I could actually figure out the like Sweet Home Alabama solo and all that, and I think that's as a guitarist, mostly that's where they all started. I could do a little Thunderstruck Run, this, that, and the other, but I was really getting good, and I was taking lessons, but as soon as I put that football helmet on, I was like, this is what I'm doing. So I just kind of dropped it. And then, so I've always had like, I love different beats and love music and all this stuff. And even tried piano at a very early age for a little bit. And, but I think that I would probably be more in like a booking agent or
You think you'd still be in the music business?
yeah, something of like, you know, promoting events.
Gets in your blood.
Organizing events. Yeah, I mean, I think inevitably I would have ended up in something to do with music. You know, I try to pride myself on not burning bridges and keeping good contacts and collecting people and you know, doing for them and then them doing for me. And, you know, which is why I do the Backpack Slam Jam and stuff like that each year and try to just call in favors is really all you can do with that nonprofit kind of stuff. But, you know, I definitely see myself like being an event organizer, you know, whatever. I've actually told Abby before, my manager, that I was like, hey, when I turn 40, I'm done with the music and you're just going to hire me as a booking agent. She's like, sounds good to me. So,
dude, we are all out of time for today, man. Tell our audience where to go find you. Website, socials, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can find me most, like, on anything if you just type in official Ryan Perry. You know, we've gotten all my socials straightened out now. It used to be like Ryan Perry Music One and all this different craziness, but it is official Ryan Perry. That's the website. It's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, iTunes, Spotify, everything. So, yeah, that's where you can find me. And I'd just like to tell the fans, like, this year we're going to put out more music than I've ever put out in my entire career, my whole 11 years, 12 years of doing this. You know, we're going to be dropping song after song after song.
You're going to be doing them individually?
Yeah.
Good, I think that's smart.
Yeah, just as that, and then maybe like 2024 trying to create something new because, like I said, I'm with a whole new division of writers in Nashville that have opened up a whole different level of creativity, and there's going to be a lot come from that, so I'm excited to see what that is. But I've been sitting on a lot of stuff that I have recorded, and my plan is to just get all that out because that's one meeting we had was just like, man, I've been sitting on this shit for so long. We're playing it out, but nobody can go listen to it anywhere. So I was like, let's form a plan to where maybe we don't have to necessarily wait like a pre-save kind of term on this, but like, let's get it out. Like, let's just put it out and see what it does. And, you know, they agreed. And so, like I said, I mean, we're going to be pumping the music out, you know, new songs. And there's going to be a lot of songs where you guys are just like, I would have never expected that out of him, you know, like that kind of music, whatever. We're going to try new things, you know, maybe a hit, may not. We're going to see what the fans like, but this is really going to be the year where we try a lot of uncomfortable stuff, you know, so, and I'm excited, more than excited about it.
Awesome. Well, man, in closing, I just want to let you know that I am super proud of you. I've been watching your journey for a long time. I wasn't always a fan. You turned me into one. Yeah. You're a good dude.
Thanks, man.
You got a beautiful family. Man, I just love looking at photos. Your whole family's photogenic as hell. Y'all look great on the screen, and I'm so happy Lawson's okay.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy for the success of the band, and I can't wait to see how far this goes for you and your family.
Thank you, man. Like I tell everybody, we're going to give it hell, and it ain't going to be lack of trying. So we'll see what we got.
All right, folks, we're all out of time. This is episode 9, Cosmic Kool-Aid. I'm Corey Short, Ryan Perry in the building, and we'll see you all tomorrow night at the Social. That's Friday, February 24th. It's a $20 ticket at the Social, 1078 Tunnel Road, tomorrow night. That's Friday. Come see us.
See y'all there.
Okay. Hey y'all, I'm Dunbar with Instant Karma Asheville. We are a one-stop hippie shop and a true Asheville experience. Oh, and we have 3D tapestries. You gotta check this out. See what I'm saying? Every 3D tapestry comes with a free pair of 3D glasses. It's amazing. We've got grassroots hats, belly dancing gear, and we have beautiful dream catchers for catching all those dreams that you don't want to have. We have locally made Asheville soap. It's delicious. You're gonna want some for you and your mom. Those would be incense matches. They're really great for the bathroom. Yeah, we have great pipes too. And we have yoga mats. They're really beautiful and soft, and they really help you to just calm down. We sell dragon eye journals and pendants. All sorts of beautifully made local stuff. We have two locations, one in West Asheville on Haywood Road, and the other one is downtown on North Lexington Avenue. Make sure you check out our online store at instantkarmaasheville.com. And I can say we are the place you want to be.